Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining me every evening for the news, updates, and chats with guest speakers. Thank you for your useful comments and suggestions. If you enjoy our videos, please press the bell icon and share it. Please subscribe if you have not. It helps us to get the truth across to people around the world. Today, we have Padma Shri Mohandas Pai, Chairman of Manipal Global Education, back with us to discuss the scenario in Karnataka with the coming of the new CM, Mr. Bommai, and what are the issues that we all need to look into. So, welcome, Mr. Pai.
Thank you very much, Meena. Good to be with you again. Thank you very much. My
Yeah.
apologies. I'm in the car. I'm delayed going back home to my home to take the call. So I thought I'm so sorry.
No,
My
it's
apologies.
absolutely okay. Yeah, it's absolutely. Thank you for joining us, because we know you have a very busy schedule, and despite that, you have joined us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Today, friends, under the CM of Karnataka, we have 29 ministers, but no deputy CM. Sir, what do you think were the reasons why BSY resigned from the post of CM? He said that nobody had pressurized him to resign. He did it on his own so that someone else can take over as CM after the completion of 2 years of government, and that he would work to bring BJP back in power in the next election.
Well, my personal view is that the party wanted somebody who could be a leader for the next 7-10 years. And obviously, who could be there as a leader, because please remember the 2014 elections, 2024 elections are going to be a very important elections for India, and we have a Karnataka elections in another 2 years.
Yes.
And Karnataka in South India is a BJP state.
Yes.
They lost in Tamil Nadu, they lost in Kerala, in Telangana. Chandrasekhar Rao is going very strong. Jagan is there in Andhra Pradesh. Maharashtra, they lost to the coalition. So I think they wanted to make sure that Karnataka, they don't lose, that they keep well. And there has been political instability in Karnataka. We started off by having a coalition government. Then we had a BSY come in, getting many people from other parties coming in. You know what happened. And he has done the thing. BSY is a great leader. He is a mass leader. We need to understand the charisma that BSY has. He's a veteran leader, 78 years, mass leader. People like him. He carries people with him. He's a very sensitive leader. He's done very good work for Karnataka, and he's an old timer. And I think the party felt that beyond 78 is very difficult to carry on. We need a new face, and a great majority of the electorate are younger. So they all felt that it's time for their change, and maybe that's what it is, and that's why I think they made this change. And the change has gone enough seamlessly, because Meena, that in Karnataka, we have the Lingayat lobby, which has supported the BJP in North Karnataka. And the last time when the BJP lost is because BSY left the party. It took away 7 to 8% of the votes. If you added that to the BJP vote, they would have come back to power, right? It's not that Congress won, it's the BJP lost. And now that he's back, they don't want to lose the Lingayat vote.
Yeah.
So they wanted another person from that area. And I think, it's worked out well. There's not been a political noise. And one of the things they probably felt was that you can't have a deputy CM, because they had 3 deputy CMs earlier. And they said no deputy CM, nobody will be a deputy CM, so nobody will fight to be a deputy CM. But let's see how it works. We are optimistic in Karnataka because we want a stable government.
Yes. The present CM, Basavaraj Bommai, is known as a close confidant of BSY. He is also known as a clean and non-controversial image. He has a non-controversial image. Was he selected because he is from North Karnataka, a Lingayat, and has the right educational and administrative background and is close to BSY? So you've answered one, that he's Lingayat.
Yes, I think the best bet. See, you needed to have somebody as a Lingayat from the North Karnataka region to replace BSY. You couldn't have a Vakaliga, somebody from the south, because that will create political instability. The Lingayats are 17-18% of the population. They'll be upset. And this politics in Karnataka. And therefore, it made sense to have somebody from North Karnataka. And it made sense to have somebody who's very close to BS Yeddyurappa, because
Yes.
if you're close to Yeddyurappa, they will work seamlessly as a team.
Yes.
And BSY has made it very clear, I think, to everybody that he's going to work for the party for the next elections.
Yeah.
So I think, it has worked out well. It's worked out well. And the new chief minister is a younger person. He's been in Bangalore for long. His father has been S.R. Bommai, a veteran political leader, very, very well known, very famous. He and Ramkrishna Hegde were like twins of politics. And of course, they were aligned with Shri Devegowda ji. And, Mr. Devegowda is a very tall leader, is a mass leader. So Devegowda, Ramkrishna Hegde, and S.R. Bommai were contemporaries and great leaders of Karnataka. So I think now he's the son of a great leader. He understands politics well. He's a technocrat. You know that. He's an industrialist. He had his own industry in Hubli, working in the automobile industry with the telco and others. And he understands industry. He's very modern. So I think it's a good start.
Yeah. And sir, also some of the ministers. Why was the opposition watching Karnataka so closely as the change happened? Is Karnataka such an important state for them? And also, now that they've realized that Burma is in power, they seem to be all happy about it, whether it's Devagowda or DK or Siddaramaya. They all seem to be happy with the decision.
Well, I think, first of all, everybody is watching Karnataka because Karnataka is a very rich state. Please remember, Karnataka's per capita GDP is the second in the country. You'll be surprised that Telangana is ahead because Telangana has got Hyderabad as a small state, and Karnataka is number 2. And Karnataka has got a very highly educated population. It's a very advanced state in many things. And the politics that happen in Karnataka in the south could, go to Kerala or Tamil Nadu over time. Tamil Nadu, the Dravidian hegemony is still strong there. And you know what is happening in Kerala with the politics being broken between the Muslims, the Christians, and the Hindu community. The BJP got a good percentage of votes. They didn't get any members there. So for them, the foothold they have in Karnataka is very important to hold. And that's why I think this happened. And of course, the opposition is thinking that the new chief minister is not a heavyweight like BSY, and they can break in and do something. But there are 2 years to the election, and if the new chief minister does a great job, make sure that people get the benefit. See, sadly for BSY, is both these years COVID was there.
Yeah.
It's the most traumatic economic and political experience for India over the last 100 years. And they were very traumatic. And I think, the odds were against him, the poor man. He could not do much except fight the pandemic. And now that the pandemic looks like coming to an end, hopefully in the next 2 years, the economy grows, jobs are created, the economy boosts, people's income goes up, and the new chief minister runs a good government, corruption-free government, then I think the chance of coming back could improve dramatically. They could do good governance and good politics.
Yeah. Also, sir, some of the ministers, a few, like a couple, have expressed displeasure at being given certain portfolios. Is it not time that ministers realize that they cannot make money through their positions in any ministry now that they are under Modi ji?
Are people who believe that Modi ji's writ runs across everybody, everybody will be an ascetic like Modi ji, and you will not touch money, blah, blah, blah. But, politicians have family, they have children are very ambitious, and, these are normal things. And you see in family politics in the Darbar in Delhi, right, for long, right? So it's not going to go away. All of the country, family politics, the reality. Children of big politicians have influence. They try to muzzle into, and that's a reality. And fathers want to create a political seat for their children. Ultimately, that's a reality. So I think these are all realities that we have to accept. And everybody can't be like Modi ji, a great patriot, nationalist who puts the country first. So I hope Modi ji's writ runs here in terms of good governance and less corruption. But there are deep challenges, and ambitious, and so many people have invested so much money. Now know that when people contest election, they have to spend money. Whatever money they're allowed to spend after the election commission is peanuts, right? They have to spend a lot more money. So the investment is an ROI. In the whole of South, it's become an ROI. You must be knowing, having watching politics, that Tamil Nadu has the most expensive politics because they buy votes. And Karnataka, I think, is next in the line. And Maharashtra is next in the Maharashtra is not far behind. especially in Bombay. They spend a lot of money. Only Kerala is behind because, people are much more aware, politically aware, and they can't be bribed to the same extent other places. Andhra is a goner. Andhra and Telangana, money power place. And how will they get money? They have to collect the money. Nobody is going to invest ROI money and then come into government and then say, hey, I'm going to be like Modi ji, right? And the reality, there's a sad reality of the situation. So I think, the key thing what people expect is at least let the work get done. In fact, many citizens are saying, you put up the bribe tariff for every job, put it up. Don't harass middle class people. At least just put up and say there's a fee you got to pay, but get the damn work done. Now, it is underground. You can put up the fee and hope they have a mechanism. I don't know what else to say because, look, I've been here all my life and we have grown up in a non-corruption way. We never pay bribes. We never did all the things alien to us. But we see other people doing so many things. It's terrible. So I think, I hope Modi ji has an influence on people here. But so long as the work has to be done, I hope they complete the work, they give relief to people because people's income has come down, Meena. People have been hurt, Meena. A lot of people have been hurt. So many people have been hurt. They have lost their livelihood for a long period of time. The lower middle class is devastated. They're dipped into the savings. Savings are getting exhausted. So it's a very tough life. So I hope that corruption comes down and governance improves.
A couple of questions, sir, regarding chartered accountants. See, chartered accountants are unable to file the IT returns because of the snag in the IT portal, which is developed by Infosys. Can you tell the viewers what exactly is the problem and when is it likely to get solved?
Well, I think, Meena, I've been talking to people in the know and they tell me they had about 150,000 complaints and 90,000 complaints have been resolved. Now, there are a few challenges. One is that every day maybe 1 to 1.5 lakh returns are being filed. You see, when the income tax portal transitioned to a new portal, many of the forms are not there. The forms have to be redesigned. The forms are not redesigned. I don't want to put the blame on somebody's door. The forms are not designed. I think the shift over was very premature. The shift over was premature. They tested it. They did everything, but they're premature. And whenever you change over a system, the user possibly has systems which are not attuned to the new system. That's also a possibility. And the system itself is not able to take the load despite testing because the variety is so much. So it takes time for a very large system we have to be a little bit patient. What the CBDT should have done is when they cut over, they could have possibly told people that we're going to extend all the time for 2 or 3 months and you please cut over. If you have difficulty, here is the transition plan and everything else. In fact, I had a meeting with the Institute of Chartered Accountants and I told them that maybe the Ministry of Finance should have told Infosys that we will ask 100 of the best young CAs in the country to work as the partners to do the testing. Because they are the users, right? If they are there and they come and use it and they tell you what are the things to do, what works, what does not work, you can set it right. Because what happens, the department will test it and say it's okay because they have to test it and say yes. Infosys will test their techies, they will write the software, they will say it works because they would have tested it. I mean, I don't believe that it's been put into account without testing. They would have gone through the test. But the testing has to have enough test cases which takes into account all the nuances and all the things. So I think this is something that has to be done. And obviously, there's a shortfall in that. Maybe prematurely it is pushed into actual life. But I think we are coming out of it. And I think today is much better than 1 month back. And I'm sure every day there's some improvement.
Another question, sir, with regards to this. A lot of business people and chartered accountants are of the opinion that in the recent cabinet expansion and reshuffle, Piyush Goyal, who is a chartered accountant, should have been given a finance ministry instead of textile. Your take on this, sir?
Well, I think the Prime Minister prerogative to have a finance minister, and we must say that Nirmala Sitharaman has done reasonably well. Yes, Piyush Goyal is a chartered accountant. He understands taxation better. He responds to things to people better because he understands business, etc. Whereas Nirmala Sitharaman is an economist and is handling a portfolio like that first time. But she was the commerce minister. Remember, she was the commerce minister. She understands trade. She understands the issues. She has been there. And I think each minister has their own style. So professionals will always want their own professionals to be there. But we must understand that in politics, the prerogative of the Prime Minister. She's a good finance minister. She's done a lot of good work. She's done a good work too. Piyush Goyal has been a good minister in railways, good minister in commerce and industry. He's done a lot of good work. So I think we should let it be, and support her and talk to her, and make sure that the finance ministry works well.
Yeah. The next question is, see, a few days back, top industrialists such as yourself and Wasim Premji, Chris Gopalakrishnan were all called for a lunch meeting with CM Bombay. Can you tell us the gist of what happened and how earnest is this government in working in tandem with industrialists in Karnataka?
Well, my personal view is that we had a meeting with the new Chief Minister, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai, and we told him that we need improvement in Bangalore infrastructure. Bangalore makes up 60% Karnataka's GDP, 65% of taxes, etc. And Bangalore is the science city of India, the tech city of India, the biotech city of India, the electronic city of India, the space city of India, and it is the leader, it's the global city. India is only global city. And we need better infrastructure. We need better roads, better infrastructure, power, lighting on the street, clean streets, etc. And we've been suffering for long. And of course, there's a lot of corruption in BBMP. A lot of money is being spent, and work goes on. For example, the road work that's going on today in central Bangalore is such a nightmare because it's going on and on and on and on, and nobody needs to end. There's so much of debris in the street. On the outskirts, people's quality of life is bad. Water is the problem. Sewage is the problem. Everything is the problem. We told him all this and said, first, you must improve the traffic scenario. Focus on the top 10 roads which carry 80% of the traffic and make sure that people can commute. Focus on completing the metro so that people get an alternative. Focus on the public transportation system, and focus on improving governance. One of the big problems is Bangalore is 800 square kilometers in area, and we have 1.1 crore people. So you can't have one single BBMP running. Why don't you have the 8 zones to be empowered and push things down to the zones so that people who stay in a distant part of Bangalore can get the work done instead of going to the corporation every single time to get work done. He listened to everybody, and he promised to look into it. A new chief minister, a high energy, and a Bangalorean at heart, and who has been there for some time, who understands all these issues, a technocrat. So it's a very good meeting, and we came away very positive and very hopeful that things are going to improve in a short while. And also, please remember, Meena, that elections are going to happen in another 2 years. Yes. So the government really has to deliver on the promise that they made. And if they don't deliver, well, they'll have a tough time. People will be unhappy. And in a democracy, the unhappiness could be very negative for anybody.
Yeah. So do you know Mr. Bommai from before? Are you aware of him? Or you?
Well, I met Mr. Bommai a few times earlier. We have met his father. We met Mr. Bommai. Because, we meet political leaders on a need-to-meet basis. We are not political animals. We don't ask favors for anybody because we treat them with great respect. They are our leaders, and we want them to succeed because they are required to make the state better, to get people what they want. And, we met him a few times, and, he's very cordial, he's very respectful, and we are respectful too because he's a chief minister, he's the political leader. All of us have to be respectful. He listened to us. And he was very, very promising, very considerate. He said he's going to look into all that. And he's very honest, and he wants to do things much better. Because remember, as the chief minister, he wants to leave a good legacy behind. Right? If you happen to be chief minister, Meena, you'll also want to leave a legacy behind. You want to make sure that people look at your work and are very happy with that. And I think it's important.
Yeah. So recently, there has been a lot of, very powerful hatred campaign against Narendra Modi. What do you see is the reason for this?
Well, the reason is very clear. The global leftists are against Narendra Modi because they believe he's right. Then you have George Soros and the Open Society pumping in money to all these malcontents. Then you have another phenomena, Meena, which you must know. For 45, 50 years, the ancient party ruled this country, right? They had their own darbar, hangers-on, family retainers, and all the hangers-on who had power, who had prestige, who made money by the close access to power, etc. Right? Now, all of them have been, distant from power for the last 5 years. They all worked up a conspiracy to say that Narendra Modi won't come back. But Narendra Modi has done more for the poor of this country than any prime minister in any 5-6 years, because he comes from that, from the same set of people, and he understands people's pain, and he has done that, right? And having done that, he is able to come back on his own steam. So you have a situation where they didn't like it, so he came back to power with a resounding majority, and having come back to power, they obviously feel that dejected, and they're going on a hate campaign, being negative for everything. I'm sorry, I'm just walking back home. You have to
Yeah,
bear
it's
with
okay.
me.
It's okay. Please do.
So they're working on a negative campaign to make sure that people see it. But remember, Meena, you are a part of social media and others, which is a good indicator of a democratic society. So many people supporting him, calling out all these lies, getting exposed. Social media and people like you who are on social media democratize media. Now people have, the ability to understand and ability to communicate and to know the truth, right? They expose the lies. So this hate campaign is there just to make sure that he loses, but he's winning, and I think more and more people are supporting him. Today, the sad news for them is the more they abuse the prime minister, the more he grows stronger.
Yeah. So a question here. See, when you say George Soros, see, why is it that India is not able to stop him from starting companies in India? Because I believe in 2017, George Soros's son started a company in Bangalore, and even companies like Dunzo belong to him. Why can't we completely eliminate this person and his companies, from starting any company in India?
No, Meena, we can't do that because in foreign investment is very different from investing in media or starting a political campaign, right?
Yeah.
We have to keep apart. Somebody invests in companies and somebody invests. It is a part of the policy. You stick to the
Yeah.
policy and you are part of it, right? Now we were able to shut off Chinese capital coming in because of geopolitical issues, right?
Yeah.
We could do that, but it is for all investment from China. We can't do it for the world because we need
Yeah.
the foreign investment. And there's a
Yes.
lot of foreign investment coming. We get FDI of $75 billion a year. So you can't do that. What can
Yes.
be done is to make sure that in places like media and other places, foreign investment doesn't come in. Now, what do some of these people do? They set up a company outside India and they transmit from within India, and they say the Indian company is a content provider. As a content provider, you can do a lot of stuff, and obviously they're able to get away. Now you got
Yeah.
to plug the loophole, and that loophole can be plugged by better policy. And I hope they come out with means to plug the loophole, because the loophole, if the loophole is plugged, possibly some of it can be done. But the other
Yeah.
thing which has to be done in a big way is to make sure that more and more people like you come on social media and fight the battle. The battle is one of narrative, and the narrative has to be fought, and the narrative is not going to be easy. So I
Yeah.
think we have to make sure that we fight the battle, and I feel that this is happening in a very big way, and
Yeah.
hopefully this will be much better in future.
Yeah. Also, sir,
Yeah,
Narendra Modi is the first Indian Prime Minister to preside over a UN Security Council open debate, a
yeah,
very rare honor. How
yeah.
would you describe our present Prime Minister? Does he have the perseverance, the vision, and the communicative skills to reach out to all strata of people?
Meena, we must understand one important issue, and the issue is that globally, political leaders are respected for the support that they have.
Yeah.
Okay, Narendra Modi has won an election with the largest number of votes in human history in his favor.
Yeah.
He's a very popular leader, come there for the second term. How many global leaders are there in the second term? Angela Merkel is gone. We have a new leader who has come now in the US, President Biden.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson is the first term. Macron is in the first term. He's got a long first term, right? He's among the senior most global leaders, right? Xi is, of course, going powerful. He's become the leader of all China. So if you look at all these things that are happening, you'll find that Narendra Modi stands tall.
Yeah.
And he has got popular support. And whenever he goes overseas, the support that the local Indian community gives is unbelievable. They filled up Madison Square Garden, they filled up the Wembley Stadium, and wherever they go, they fill up stadiums and come and meet him. And for a political leader, what matters is how many people come to listen to them and how many people support them. And they obviously support and they respect him. He's been there, and he's been a very strong leader. He stood up against China like no other country, right? And he stood up for the global order. He's led in COP21 in climate. He has started the International Solar Alliance. He's visited more countries than any Indian prime minister. He's made peace with the Middle East. And he's getting award with the Middle East. And he shifted the Middle East away from tilt towards Pakistan, towards India, which has never happened before. And in Vaccine Maitri, he's helped more countries than any country in the world, right? Before he was forced to stop it because India got into trouble. So I think he's widely respected as a prime minister by all political leaders all around the world.
So do you think there'll come a time in India when we can have elections simultaneously in India so as to stop wasting money on all these rallies?
You know, Meena, I think it's going to be a very difficult thing to have that, because remember, we have 29 plus states. Okay? And all the states coming on at the same time, or the country going at the same time, is going to be very difficult. And each state will have. What can be done possibly is a number of states and center coming on the election at the same time. And over a period of time, maybe the majority of states and center coming on at the same time. But our problem is also very different. We have the central elections every 5 years. We have the panchayat elections. We have the state elections. Maybe we should see how the state assembly and the panchayat elections and the Zilla Panchayat elections can be held at the same time. Somehow we are trying to work it out state by state to remove this elections every 1 or 2 years, which takes away the time of a political leaders in Delhi, because they have to campaign for their own party. It's a very difficult thing that has to happen. And especially in the BJP, where Prime Minister Modi is the star campaigner. Even for the Congress, when Indira Gandhi was there, she was the star campaigner because the country voted for Indira Gandhi, not for anybody else in the Congress, right? So that's a problem. I don't see it going away, Meena. It's going to remain something like this.
Yeah. Providing jobs to all seems to be the biggest challenge that the CM of Karnataka will face. What do you see as the challenge Karnataka, will face, and how will it, sort of solve it?
Meena, you said it very well. Providing jobs for Karnataka people is the biggest thing. Let me give some data. Every year, about maybe 11 lakh young people enter the workforce. 11 lakhs. We are producing 5.5, 6 lakh jobs, meaning 7 to 8 lakh jobs. About 25-30% will go into agriculture or get married and not want a job, right? About 4.5 lakh people come out as graduates every year in Karnataka. All right. We are a state with 6.5 crore populations if you go by data. So I think this is the biggest problem. And in Karnataka, a majority of the jobs are in Bangalore. Of the 5.5 lakh jobs which are produced, because we get the data from the Provident Fund organization, maybe 3.5, 4 lakhs is in Bangalore, out of which 2.5, 3 lakhs is in the IT sector, right? IT sector is the major driver of jobs in Bangalore. And in the IT sector, only 50% job goes to local Kannadigas, people who have been here 15 years. People come from outside, which is very good. Everybody is welcome in the state. We are an open society. But the key challenges for us is how do you produce jobs? And the jobs have to be produced in North Karnataka. If you look at Karnataka, North Karnataka, the Hyderabad Karnataka region is the poor region. The Mysore Karnataka region is the rich region. There's Mysore, Shimoga downwards, etc. The Madras Karnataka region or the Bombay Karnataka region are better off region. Karbar and all of the Bombay Karnataka, and Mangalore is the Madras Karnataka. So I think they're all better regions. So North Karnataka is the poorer region. A lot of development has happened there, but education accomplishments are low. Jobs have to be created. And for that, we need a new policy. We have to get labor-intensive jobs into North Karnataka. We have to get high-tech jobs into South Karnataka. But all the jobs are converting in Bangalore and surrounding Bangalore because of good infrastructure. So we got to create good infrastructure. We got to grow cities. And the solution is more urbanization. We need concentration of human activity in cities. Therefore, 250 plus census towns in Karnataka. We made a study, and those towns need to have better infrastructure so that jobs can come there, and we can have labor-intensive jobs. There are a lot of work to do, Meena.
Yeah. Many Indians feel that the first decision that Mr. Bommai took after coming as CM was to notify an order barring the use of temple funds for non-Hindu religious purposes, which was hailed by most of the people. How do you see that, sir?
I think it's a very good decision. See, today, even though India claims to be a secular republic, we are not secular at all. How can government run the management of temples? And Meena, there's a very peculiar reason for that. When the British East India Company fought battles in what is now Tamil Nadu, they defeated the local kings, and they became the local rulers. When they became the local rulers, the rulers of the time were the patrons of all the temples. They managed the temple, they were the patrons, etc. Right? So they became managers of the temple. Now, the Protestant clergy, the banker, the Church of England and others created a ruckus in the UK to say, how can a Christian nation run the religious institution of the pagans? Because they were very fanatical, they're very fundamentalist. How can they do that? The East India Company had to create a department for Hindu endowment, Hindu religions, etc. in Tamil Nadu. I think the first place where it started, where the management of the temples, because it devolved on the ruler and they become the rulers, came to the department, it becomes a government center. Then came the question, how do you distinguish between the secular act of management and the religious act of religious rituals and temple worship? So they said, the management will be secular. We will leave it to the archakas and others to do all the temple. We will not interfere. And that became a role model. And that became a source of great revenue and great power. Now, when the bureaucrats start enjoying power, because you have the money from the temples, low accountability, you got all the land of the temples, you can knock off the land, you can do so many things, they don't want to give it up. And a bureaucrat, whether in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, is the same. So after independence, Karnataka and all of this followed the same thing and started taking out temples. And also, Meena, when a temple doesn't have a central authority to run it, everybody plays politics, groupism forms, and people say, oh, this fellow is knocking out the money, this fellow is doing that, that fellow, they start complaining. The complaints come to the government. What do you want the complaint to do? The Christians have the Church of North India, South India, which runs all of them. They are a very well-run organization. The Muslims have their mosque committees, which are locally knit. And locally they can start, and local they have their own people. But these our temples are hundreds of years old, thousands of years old. It was all run by the kings, right? By royal patronage, by rich landlords, etc. So the whole structure has broken down, and this has become this. And one of the big arguments that people, Hindu community had was the money from the Hindu temples should not go to the general revenues. And many people are complaining that using the money for non-religious activities, etc. And what Chief Minister S.R. Bommai has done is to stop that. And I think it's a very good thing to do, because I think the Chief Minister has understood that the money belonging to the Hindu community cannot go to the general revenues, has to be used for the Hindu religion. And I hope that by that order, any leakage will stop and the money will be used for the betterment of people, maintenance of temple, payment for the archakas, religious rituals, running the Veda Patashalas, running school dispensaries. Meena, you'll be very surprised. The last time I studied the balance sheet of the Tirupati, Tirumala Devasthanam, they had 7,000 crores of deposits in the bank. 7,000 crores. Why can't they spend the money running hospitals, running more schools, running better universities? Because in the 7 temples, the Christian evangelists are trying to come and usurp. You know that many of these evangelists, dirty fellows, very fundamentalists, used to go to the temple and try to preach there. And many of the people who converted used to work in the temples. How can it happen? Do you think in the Muslim dargah, the Muslim mosque, they will allow anybody like this to work? Do you think the Christian...
Your sound, sir.
And I hope that, the problem there, and I hope this is the start of, something that's happening. I hope that in future too, they will have, they'll hand over the Hindu temples to the local community to manage, have a better law, and bring in a different kind of governance and stop the deep hurt that the Hindus have to do.
Yeah. So also a small extension to this question. See, the courts have, already made it very clear that loudspeakers cannot be used by any institution, any religious institution. Yet, during the COVID, none of the institutions were doing it. But now, again, slowly, some of the institutions, the Muslim mosques, are doing it. Can't there be a strict law that, people will be punished for this?
Meena, you're absolutely right. I read that in Saudi Arabia, Prince Salman has banned the use of mosque for azan. And he said that, look, the azan is a private affair, is not meant to be a public affair. You are supposed to come to the mosque. And there the azan will be read to people who are worshippers, right? And then Prophet Muhammad, started Islam. There were no loudspeakers.
Yes.
The use of loudspeaker is not there in the religious scriptures of the Quran, Holy Quran, or any of the Hadith or anything else. is a practice that's come up only now, when any of the fundamentalists saying, oh, it's part of it and all, not there. The mullahs had to go and to sing the azan from the minaret, right? That's what it is. They can continue doing that, and that will not carry very far. The problem in this country is, because of political reasons, police are not enforcing the law. You must enforce the law. If you don't enforce the law, it will not work. It's the lack of enforcement of the law. You'll be very surprised. I read somewhere that the arrest warrant for the Imam of the Jama Masjid in Delhi has not been executed for 25, 30 years. Because, you don't enforce the law. You're all scared. You should enforce the law to anybody. It's like the people in Delhi who squatted on the road for anti-CAA. They were squatting on the roads. They're breaking the law. Why don't you evict them? Let them protest somewhere else. Today, the farmers are sitting in Delhi and blocking the roads. The Supreme Court is quiet. The government of India is quiet. The police are quiet. Everybody is quiet. They're breaking the law. Now, if you break the law, why will some people respect the law? So, Meena, we have a broken down justice system. We have a broken down system of governance. Unless more and more citizens stand up and say that you have to enforce the law, and the Supreme Court also starts, making sure the law is enforced, this is not going to improve. So the High Court has judged, but who is going to implement it?
Here also, viewers, a note for you is that, see, we are talking about all the institutions. We are talking about churches, we are talking about temples, and we are talking about masjids. So please do not misinterpret it. We are talking about all the institutions being stopped from using loudspeakers. Because today's the modern age.
Meena, the law applies to all religious institutions. Now, you'll be very surprised. We have the freedom of religion. Article 25 and 26. I read that in the Shabarimala judgment, the judge said that Article 14 and 19 overrides 25 and 26. You have a situation in India, Meena, where the Article 14 promises equality. Article 19 promises right to life. Now, what about equality in the law for a Muslim woman? A Muslim woman is governed by Sharia, where women don't have equal rights like men. Why shouldn't all the women in the country have equal rights? Whether you're a Hindu woman or a Parsi woman or a Muslim woman is irrelevant. Women make up 50% of the population. They must have equal rights. You'll be surprised, in 1956, when the Hindu, in the Hindu Inheritance Act and the Hindu Marriage Act came into being, the Hindu Marriage Act was codified. It was less than what Dr. Ambedkar wanted, but it's codified. But our girls, girls did not get an equal share to co-partnership property. Women were discriminated in Hindu law. It's only about 15 years ago, the Supreme Court said a girl child has got as equal rights to her father's property as a boy. And you can't discriminate. Now, most of this discrimination has been removed. What about Muslim women? Muslim women should have equal rights guaranteed by the Constitution. And the fundamental rights of Article 14 and 19 override Article 25 and 26. That's why I've been saying, Meena, what we require in India is an Indian Woman Right to Equality Act. An Indian Woman Right to Equality Act, where all Indian women, 50% of the population, will have equal rights to men. There will be no discrimination on the grounds of gender, no discrimination on the grounds of religion, no discrimination on the grounds of any other identity. Men and women will be equal. They'll have equal rights for everything, including personal law. And that is what is guaranteed to us by a constitution. Even after 70 years, it is not given to a part of a population. And that's a big shame. We have to rectify a lot of things that are promised by a constitution and still not there.
Also, sir, while see, we're very happy that Prime Minister has included a lot more women in the cabinet and the ministry. One thing I did not really particularly like was that they introduced a mahila murcha, which is actually segregating women from men. I mean, why would you have another, the thing for women? When you say that equality is very important, it's the same for men and women. I found that a little bit, upsetting.
Meena, look, I'm okay for an organization only of women, okay for an organization only of men. I'm okay for an organization of Hindus, organization of Muslims is okay. Because look, we all have to be together based on gender, based upon identity, that's all fine. But our rights cannot be compromised on that. Now, what is important is we must have more women in the union cabinet. We must have more women in parliament. Now, politics has become a men's game, right? We need more women. Maybe we should have 33% reservation for women in parliament. Now we have 50% reservation in the Panchayat Raj, and over the last 40 years, from 1978 onwards, I think, it has really improved. First, the women became leaders, the men control them. Now the women have kicked out the men and they are ruling and they're doing a good job. And any place which has got good women leaders, that's much better than men leaders. I think personally, women are not corrupt, less corrupt, maybe not corrupt, and women take care of the family. Women are more peaceful. Women do a much better job. They're more focused than the men.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very important thing. So we need more women representatives. We need a better gender balance. As part of a SEBI committee, we said we need more women directors. And today, 17% of directors on Indian boards are women. Hopefully, they'll go to 25%. Now, almost all companies want to make sure that more and more women come to senior position, and it's happening in a big way. So habits are changing, culture is changing, attitudes are changing. But we need that in politics in a big way. And politics is a question of power. So that's why I think we need a law in parliament that 33% of seats in parliament, whether for the SC, ST or anybody else, will be reserved for women. I think India will be a better country.
So another question is, there's a surge of pride in everything Indian and a love for martyrs and patriots who have left a mark in Indian history. Now, Vinay Kayapanda, a resident from Kodagu district, has initiated an online campaign on change organization on Friday, demanding that Nagarahole National Park be named after Coordinator Madappa Karyapa, who was the first Indian commander-in-chief of the Indian Army, a native of Kodagu. He was born on 20th January 1899 in Madikeri, Kodagu, and had a distinguished military career spanning 3 decades. What are your thoughts on this, sir?
Meena, I support that. I said in a government committee where as a member that all sports awards should be in the name of sportsmen, great sportsmen, not in the name of political leaders. I'm happy that Prime Minister Modi changed the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Award into the Major Janchand Khel Award. I think it's a very good thing. And the Kodavas have got a legitimate demand. General Karyapa was the first commander-in-chief of the Indian Army, right, after independence, right? He was a very distinguished soldier. He is from Coorg. And the Coorgis have fought for the country. They have been part of the military. They're a very distinguished community, and I support that very well. I hope the government of Karnataka will listen to him and name Nagarole after General Karyapa. I think a lot more institutions have to be named after General Karyapa and General Timaya, who have been the great generals from there. And about, and maybe all the sports facilities in Coorg should be named after all the great Coorgi sports people. We have to change the way we name. I mean, there are some 450 institutions named after the family. I mean, the family in Delhi doesn't own this country. They seem to think that they are the rulers of this country, hereditary rulers of the country, like the Queen of England, and everything should be named after them. We are a democracy. It is very wrong. And I hope all people, right-thinking people, will support this demand of the Coorgi people from Kodavas, from Coorg, and I personally support that very well.
So do you think that establishing more huge companies like Infosys can make India progress faster as an IT hub?
I think so, Meena, because please remember, you require a lot of money to compete globally and to invest. And small companies will not have the financial power, the technology progress, and the management capacity to fight the battle and to compete. So we need larger companies. We also need smaller companies. It's not that we need only larger companies. In Korea, there were 5 chaebols, very large companies, which dominated the entire economy, and they became almost like a monopoly, right? A oligopoly, right? They control politics, they control everything else. And there was a very less innovation. Innovation restricted here. So we companies, but we should not be against large companies, and we should not be for small companies to allow everybody to prosper. We had this very bad MSME reservation policy, and we destroyed our garment industry. Garment industry for a long period of time was reserved for MSMEs. And China dominates, Bangladesh dominates because they have large manufacturing plants. You can invest, employ thousands of people and pay them better. It's only the big companies that can pay people better because they got the size and they got the financial muscle. They can control markets. So I think it's very important to incentivize the big companies, promote the smaller companies, and promote innovation. But one thing is very clear. Innovation comes more in the smaller companies than the big companies. So we need the smaller companies and the bigger companies.
Yeah. Do you think, sir, most people think that the Prime Minister, digitizing money in a big way has helped people because none of us really carry cash anymore. and the nagging doubt of how much money is sufficient to carry anywhere is no longer existent. Can you put your thoughts on this, sir?
Yes, I think the time has come when we do a physical currency. You'll be very surprised. I think the total physical currency in this country is about 25 lakh crores. There's a lot of money. That money is in currency. I think half of it is 2,000 rupee notes stored as black money. Black money has not disappeared. See, what is money? Money is a medium of exchange, a unit of value, a unit of accounting. Correct?
Yeah.
A medium of exchange, a unit of value, a unit of accounting, and all this is there in money.
Yeah.
So when you talk about money, please remember one important thing. What you are actually looking at money is a bill of exchange. I promise to pay the bearer the sum of so and so. That is given by the Reserve Bank of India on the authority of the government of India. And if you go to Reserve Bank and give a 10 rupee note and say, give me a rupee, they will give a 1 rupee note or a 1 rupee coin, because the 1 rupee note or a 1 rupee coin is legal tender. Okay, that is the rule. Now, physical currency is difficult. Now money has become electronic. You can make money transfers. You need a physical currency because you have to make payment. Then you have the credit card where you made the credit card payment. You didn't have to carry money. Now you can do UPI, you can do money transfer, you can do a contactless card. You can do so many things that are there. So the need for cash is coming down. And because Prime Minister Modi has got about 45 crore bank accounts open, all small merchants, all villages, everybody's got a bank account. All of them are using UPI. UPI does 3.2 billion transactions with 5 lakh crores a month. So it's become very easy. So India is a very different place now from what it was. What we need now is a digital rupee. China has got a digital yuan. We can't have a cryptocurrency like a Bitcoin to be used as a currency, because the currency is the prerogative of the sovereign, and the sovereign is the government of India in this country. They will not give up the right. So I think it's important that RBI and the government of India have a digital currency. So the currency will be digital. It will not be physical. It can be in a bank account. It can be in a wallet. It can be anywhere, and we can transact. So I think we're coming close to that, and this is very good.
So in the education sector, is it not important to develop many more public schools with high tech and making it better than the private schools, so that children don't feel the need that it's different from private schools, and it's of a equally high standard?
Meena, my view is slightly different. My view is government must allow private, public, anybody who meets the standard to set up a school and have good regulations. Whether the public school or private school should set up to the same standard. And parents should have the choice to admit their children to a public school or a private school. It doesn't mean the government should not spend money, because government should guarantee free, good education for every child up to class 12. Government should guarantee. But government's ability to spend money is limited. But they must guarantee good education. They must invest. They must use technology, etc. And that has to be done for all our young people. But if you and I say, I want to go to a different school, you and I should have the freedom. And government should not come in the way. Let people of India choose where they want to go. Is the government guaranteeing 12 years of good public education? So you can go to a public school, you can go to a private school. Let us have everybody together, subject to same regulations, same standards. Now, government, does not enforce quality standards in public schools. And today, sad situation has come that in public schools, the poorest for the poor people go, or they go there unless they don't have a choice. Remember, 30 years back, our parents all went to a government school, and the government schools are very good schools. There's nothing wrong with the schools. Even today, the government schools have got very good teachers, they got very good infrastructure, but the management is bad. There's politicization and all kind of stuff happening. So I think the key is not that everything should be public. The key is government should act as a guarantor. Government should run good public schools with technology, give the same standard of quality. Somebody gives better is fine, but everybody should have the same quality, and everybody should get 12 years of free education. One of the radical suggestion is, because government cannot manage the schools and provide that, why doesn't the government give the money to the student and ask him to go to any school of the choice? If he goes to a government school, the teachers there get the salary. If he goes to a private school, the fee of the institution. That's a good idea. Because then competition will come. Now there's no competition, because children in many government schools have become hostages. Like my friend Manish Sabarwal says, they have not become clients, they become hostages. It's a problem.
So are you happy with the pace of work going on in Bangalore related to smart city projects?
I'm not happy at all. I think it's a mess. I think the people who run smart cities should manage the projects better. You can't dig up everything and keep it going for 6, 8, 9 months. You dig up and finish the damn job. And you ask people to work 365 days. You go to government and get special permission. In China, they work 365 days, 3 shifts to make things work because they want to finish. But digging up and getting some people who don't follow quality standards, who don't work all the time, you are just agonizing. And there seems to be no accountability. Or every place is dug up, traffic jams are there. Nobody seems to care a damn. Where is the management? Where is the project management? What are the bureaucrats running the show doing? How many days have they gone in inspection? There's no father, there's no mother. It's a bloody mess, Meena. It's a mess. And I think all of us should protest this mess and tell our chief minister it's not acceptable at all. The bureaucracy is not doing the job they paid to do, right? The PWD engineers are not doing the job. The BBMP is not doing the job. I mean, how can you do all this? You must enforce the contract. You must make sure they work on time, they complete on time, and don't dig too many things that you can't complete. They dig something, they keep it pending for a long time. I think it's very, very wrong.
So do you think that there can be some solution to the Kaveri River issue? Every year you find Tamil Nadu in a tussle with Karnataka over this. Do you think there can be a solution to this?
No, but Meena, the Supreme Court has given a decision. The Supreme Court has given a decision, the allocation of the Kaveri water between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. But politicians are still playing the same game, blaming Karnataka blaming this, etc. I think the Supreme Court has given the decision and both have to follow the law. I think Karnataka is following the law. Karnataka is following the law. Tamil Nadu has to learn how to live with the Kaveri decision of the Supreme Court, and Karnataka is following the law. If Karnataka doesn't follow the law, it will be hauled up by the Supreme Court. You can go for a contempt petition, right? But Karnataka is following the law. So I think it's still politics. For example, this Mekadatu thing. Right? Mekadatu, Karnataka wants to store surplus water, which it has a right under the award. So I think they must sit down and settle the Mekadatu, not make it a big political issue. See, it is very easy to whip up emotions against somebody else. And politicians on both sides of the border do the same.
So when you had your meeting with Mr. Bommai, did you emphasize the fact that, every other city in Karnataka should also be developed so that people can, join companies there rather than overcrowd Bangalore?
Yes, we told the chief minister that he must have a separate policy for the north of Karnataka and create jobs there. I remember we made a presentation to the former chief minister, BS Yeddyurappa, where we said, pick up 250 small cities, develop them, give them money for infrastructure, and also make sure that you get labor-intensive industries there. Gandhiji's policy that India lives in village should continue is not right. I don't think he meant it should continue. I mean, in the time of independence, 89% of people lived in villages. That's true. Today, about 60% of people live in villages, but people don't want to live in villages. You ask any farmer's son, he'd say, I don't want to live in a village. I want to go to the town. Why didn't you develop the small towns? Now, the small towns become places where jobs can be created and people can get a decent income and create the infrastructure like the big towns. Like President APJ Kalam had the Pura program. Do it for the small towns. If there are 250 of them in Karnataka, you can do that. I think they should do it. I think, we need to change our policies on urbanization.
So with your kind of knowledge and vision, you should be one of the important advisors to this Karnataka government.
Meena, many of us spend a lot of our time for public issues. We go meet the government, we talk to them, government listens, and the government is very enthusiastic. Government says yes. The problem in Karnataka is simple. And I know it, having worked with political leaders for the last 30 years of all political parties. They do this. The bureaucrats agree to do this. They keep saying yes, but they don't do it. What do you do? Tell me. None of them say no. None of them say the bad idea. They say yes. For example, the fact that 10 arterial roads of Bangalore have to be redone, have to be done. Everybody has accepted for the last 15 years. It's still not happened. The government is broken. It's still not happened. It's still happening in bits and pieces. Because the management structure of the government is broken. Secretaries change every 1 year. Ministers change every 2-3 years. And then some contractor comes and captures the contract. Then it gets into a dispute. All kind of mess. There is a full management mess in the government which has to be cured. But, we must keep pushing. We must keep doing it. Good thing about Karnataka is they're very open. They're very accepting. They want to do things. Everybody is enthusiastic. But what doesn't get is that Ian Madadu sir, ಏನು ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, that kind of attitude. You know Kannada, right? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು sir? This kind of casualness. That's why we need a strong leader. We need a leader like Chief Minister Modi.
Yeah.
When Modi was in Gujarat, when he said this has to be done, it had to be done. You had to go meet him every 2 months and say why the job was not done and what happened to the project. Even today in Delhi, he's personally monitoring some 500 projects. He looks at it every 2 months and it's getting done. Pace has improved today. There's still projects not being done, but a great majority of projects are being completed. Nitin Gadkari does that, projects are being completed. Piyush Goyal does that, is getting completed. So you need the big man to sit down and push the matter, and that's what has to be the management issue. I hope the new chief minister will do that.
So what is your advice to Mr. Bommai?
My advice to Mr. Bommai is please set up a war room as part of a secretariat where there'll be a group of people monitoring all the important projects in Bangalore, important projects all across Karnataka, review them every month and push them and make sure they're completed as early as possible. Whatever can be completed next 1 year, please complete. Let people see the benefit. And if able to do things like Prime Minister Modi does, people get the benefit, you'll be voted back to power, which is the biggest reward. For a political leader, being voted back to power is the biggest reward. Please do that. Please spend your time on all this and also on good politics, making sure that various groups of people get the little things they want so people feel happy. But please complete the projects. Please reduce the pain of people. Please improve the quality of life for everybody.
Yeah. Also, sir, one last question. We all know that Karnataka is a hub for culture, art, and dance. So why don't they put emphasis on this, sir? There are so many dancers, singers. There's so much of culture in all parts of Karnataka. Why are they not investing in this, sir?
Exactly. You see, the richness of life comes through culture, Meena.
Yeah.
Richness of life comes, but you need ministers who have a respect for culture. Remember, Chief Minister Ramkrishna Hegde was a man of culture. He did many things for culture, right? You need chief minister others who respect culture, who understand culture, who say that these are the bigger things of life. You see, today what happens, people come and say, my priority is the poor.
Yeah.
But remember, there are middle class, there are poor, there are upper class, there's everybody. There's culture. You got to do everything. You cannot say, my priority is only this, I'm not going to focus on them. My priority is rural Karnataka, not urban Karnataka, like Devegowda ji said, right?
Yeah.
And he created all that fuss. I mean, this is not the way to operate. Yes, everybody has a role in society. I mean, please remember, the middle class and upper middle class are the main taxpayers. They may be lesser water, but they're paying taxes. Yeah. Prime Minister Modi is the first political leader to say we must respect taxpayers. They don't even respect taxpayers. What do you do with people who don't respect taxpayers, right? So all these things have to be done. They must understand to deal with different categories of people. Democracy is a system of competitive lobbies, competitive groups. Everybody wants something, must give something to everybody. Everybody must get something. And culture is something that unites people, keeps them together for a long period of time. A man doesn't live by stomach alone. He has a mind of his own. A man or a woman has a mind of his own. So you must invest in culture. You must promote culture. And also people with wealth should promote culture. Because remember, in the early days, the king and the wealthy people promoted culture. So people with wealth, people who are billionaires should spend money and promote culture, because culture is what improves the quality of life.
So I know it's been a long session for you. You've not had your tea, but thank you so much for this wonderful session. As always, you tend to educate the viewers and us particularly. So thank you for this session, sir.
Thank you, Meena. Good talking to all of you again. Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Good
Thank
night.
you very much. Bye. Good night.